Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more. Today's episode, former Wallabies and Brumbies star Ben Alexander joins me to talk all things rugby, what it takes to play rugby at the highest level, and some of the things that went along the way, from a broken leg injury to never really having the dream to play professional rugby, and now having an incredible app that he started while running a pub and some various other things. So there's so much to learn from Benny. He's a bloody great down-to-earth bloke that has really changed my perspective with how we view creating more energy in your life to be a better dad, to be a better partner, father, all of those roles that we play in our lives. So tune in and enjoy. Grab yourself a pen and paper, and remember there will be links in the show note to find out how you can reach out to Benny. Now, gents, if you're tuning in for the first time, we have an incredible program running, the Strong Men of Value program, where we have blokes from all around the world who are part of it, where we're helping them create momentum and overcome challenges in their life to be the best version of themselves. It is capped at 100 blokes. We're sitting currently at 58. So we will hit that 100 mark by the end of the year. I can guarantee that. So if you want to find out more about it and how you can create massive change in your life, head over to themanthatcanproject.com/strong men of value and take up a 7-day free trial. Check out what it's all about. And I look forward to connecting with you all in there. Enjoy the episode.
You're listening to the Man That Can Project with Lachie Stuart, a global movement created to empower men and open up what's really going through their minds by having real and raw conversations about life's unique challenges and our individual ways of processing it all. Welcome to the Man That Can Project.
Welcome to the Can Project. We've crossed over 330 episodes now, and no better way to bring it in with guests that I was introduced to from Tommy, one of our members, is Ben Alexander. Ben, appreciate you joining us today from the nation's capital, mate.
Thanks for having me, mate.
So for those who aren't familiar with Benny, mate, you're from, obviously watching you play footy and everything you're up to now, you're definitely a high achiever, and you've achieved so much in such a short period of time. But you played over 150 games for the Brumbies, over 70 games, or 72 for the Wallabies. That's a Wikipedia check there, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's very right. Wikipedia is usually pretty right.
Yeah, pretty spot on. You're owner and operator of one of Canberra's most successful pubs, the Dock in Kingston, since 2014. I think you've had that. And you're also a co-founder of Alfred, which is an energy tracking app. And you're also publishing some blogs, which I had a good read through this morning of, and you're a brilliant writer as well. So you seem to have a lot of incredible things going for you at the moment. And obviously, in order to achieve such high levels, there's sacrifice, challenges, and a lot of stuff that have gone along the way. But mate, I'll pass it over to you. And I'd love it if you could just give us a bit of a background on, first and foremost, what it took to get to playing rugby at the highest level, and a few of the ups and downs along the way.
Yeah, with footy, I never entered my mind that I one day would be good enough to play professionally. I just started playing because some friends and family convinced my parents to let me and my two other brothers play, and I just played every year. Just played club, and then obviously went to a school that played rugby at Knox, and so I was playing 2-3 games every weekend growing up, but it never entered my mind that I'd be professional or ever, would ever play for the Wallabies. Just never even entered my mind. So, but then when I finished school, moved to Canberra and just joined a club down here and just kept playing every weekend, just because that's what my weekends are, is playing sport. And just kept doing it every year because I loved it. One day, got in the Brums Academy, and then before I knew it, was on the bench for the Wallabies. And so to say that like it was a child, like it was something. What's the word? To say it was something I've been dreaming of was not on my radar. Like I just never thought I'd be good enough, but I just kept rocking up every year, kept going to training just because I really enjoyed the camaraderie of rugby and the team sports. And it's just a part of my routine now. Just going and exercising with friends during the week, and then on Saturday, competing on Saturdays just become really ingrained in me. And I don't really know much more to say other than it took me by surprise, probably more than anyone else, that I got to play for the Wallabies once, let alone, as many times I did. So,
yeah, well, you obviously had an outstanding career, and from how you sort of said it, it was just like that easy to get there. Were there any, obviously, do you remember the first time that you sort of, it maybe dawned on you that you had the opportunity to make a career out of it?
Yeah, so I think after my second season of Brumbies Academy, I was like, I nearly got kicked out. I was academic probate. University nearly kicked me out. I was failing everything. I'd been injured and I was just on the piss all the time. And I blew out to about, my heaviest, to say the least. And the Brums said, Benny, you're not taking training seriously. Like, we're going to kick you out. And then so I moved in with my grandparents and got really fit over one summer. And then the next year, played my best footy and got an Australian under 21s. And I saw a lot of guys from that team were getting contracts or had already been playing Super Rugby. And I thought, Benny Robbo, I've been playing with him my whole life. He's got a Waratahs contract. Or, Cam Shepherd, I've been playing with him since we were kids, and he's got a contract with the Tars. That was sort of when the possibility first entered, was when I saw other guys that I was playing with started to get contracts. So, kept training hard, got a training contract with the Brumbies, and then that weekend, did 1 week training full time, and I was like, oh, this is awesome, like getting paid to play rugby. But then that weekend, I snapped my leg in half playing for my Canberra club, Canberra Vikings, and I lost my contract. I was out for a year, had a heap of complications with that, but lucky I sort of kept going. Eventually got over that injury, and about another year later, the Brumbies asked me back, and just trained really hard, and just sort of all then snowballed from there. And momentum's a funny thing, but
Where did you snap your leg? Was it femur or down the
tib and fib? So snapped my both. Off a kickoff, I caught it, and then two guys that had jumped for the ball fell on it, and just clean break all the way through, and they had like clots in my lungs, like embolus. So I think it's when like bone marrow gets in your bloodstream or something, and so like clotting my lungs. And I was in hospital for about 3 weeks with all that. So that was, I didn't really realise at the time probably how like serious the clotting stuff was. But full recovery. I played 1 season with the pole in my leg. I went to England for a season and had to play with the metal pole inside my leg, but came home, got it out, and then after that I sort of never looked back.
Started ripping in. That's unreal, especially a injury like that. That's, for a lot of people, would be enough to call it quits and be done with it.
Well, and that's my proudest moment looking back. Like, I didn't win a Super Rugby title or anything, but my proudest part about my career is I got to have one, and I got to overcome that injury at a real sort of sliding doors moment. It is really hard to sort of get into the system of rugby. Like, the pathways aren't really clear, especially these days for young kids playing. They're like, what do I do? Do I go play Colts, or do I go to academy? Or like, there's no very nice, clear pathway in rugby union how to get into the professional ranks. And I sort of, nearly lost my way there. First of my own fault, not being on the piss and not training hard and stuff. That was my own fault. But then I fixed that. But then to nearly lose it again through injury, through no fault of my own, that was tough. But I'm glad I stuck at it. Were
there any challenges for you mentally and stuff during that period where you felt like you mightn't get back there, or having lost the opportunity from no fault of your own?
Yeah, I was pretty young, so I was 20 at the time when it happened. So still didn't really. I don't realise, probably until now I'm a bit older, realise how close I came to never having a career.
Yep.
And it's a bit scary thought, actually, for me, because rugby has given me so much and has really set me up for life and give me everything I have here in Canberra, and just so grateful there at the Brums, and just rugby union in general has been played a massive part of my life. So that to think that I very nearly didn't get to have a career is quite scary, because I don't know what I would have done. I wasn't enjoying what I was studying at uni. I was doing sports journalism, and I love sport, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I enjoy writing, but it wasn't what I wanted to do day in, day out. And growing up, my dad always told me that, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And so he's a pediatric geneticist, so he comes up with new genetic cures for children that are born with genetic disorders, and he loves getting into the lab, trying to find these new cures for sick kids, and it gets him out of bed every morning, and he loves it. And so I was very lucky to have Dad always telling me that from a young age, and so I've always I guess that's why I just stuck with rugby. It was just because I loved it. So I never thought about giving up and not trying, but I think in hindsight, if I hadn't cracked it in that year when I came back from England and I got the pole out, I might have been lost in the wilderness, and I don't really know what would have happened to me.
Definitely. It's awesome that it turned out well for you. And it looks, I think you would have played footy with a few of my mates, JP and Ruan, the Smith brothers.
Yes. Are they listening? Yes, but JP would still be celebrating his win in LA, wouldn't he?
Yeah, mate. I reckon he wouldn't have stopped if he's, good value. That's for sure.
They're great fellas. Got on really well, both of them, when they were at the Brums. Great blokes.
Yeah. So they'll definitely be listening in, that's for sure. But obviously,
hello, my boykies. They're listening. A bit of Kurt Darren if they're listening.
I got a story there. When we were in grade 11 and we were playing first 15, and we always used to skip school, myself and Japes, and we were at home playing FIFA or one of those Madden or something like that. And the first 15 coaches called us because I was getting a call up to make my debut. He's like, "Where are you and where's Lachlan?" We're like, "Oh, just playing FIFA." So he's like, "Get your ass back to school," because he's about to go on assembly, and we're just fucking racing straight back to school. But we didn't get much schooling done, that's for sure. It was just constantly playing PlayStation and dicking around. It's good fun.
Yeah, they're dads now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
JP just had his first. Ruan's eldest is about the same old as my eldest. So, no, great fellas. If you're listening, boys, miss you. I'd love to catch up if you're in Canberra next.
Yeah, we'll definitely get the boys to reach out, and I need to get in contact with them as well, get them on here as well. But obviously for yourself, the transitioning out of footy, you retired in 2018. Was that a tough call to make? Like, obviously you'd had an incredible career, but were you ever faced with that moment of what do I do next? Because as you were sort of just saying, what would you have done without rugby? Was there ever that question or?
Oh, well, I knew what I wanted to do when I retired, but it was still very hard nonetheless. Like sort of three things. Like my grandmother was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and she sort of said, "Ben, time," sort of umming and ahhing whether to try and play another year or keep playing. And she got diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer, and they give about a month to live. And she started, giving out advice to all the family members. And mine was time to quit while I was ahead with my rugby. I just had my third daughter, and she's like, "Ben, you've had a good run with rugby. Time to quit while you're ahead." So I had that bit of advice. And then obviously grandma passed away a month later and was really close with her. And then time was up at Brums, had a really good, honest chat with Dan McKellar, who was the head coach at the time. I hadn't been training well or playing well that year. Like I just, for a number of reasons. So that sort of the writing was on the wall there. And I knew what I really wanted to do as well. So it was very, and we can talk about obviously the work with Alfred, but that I feel the same way working on Alfred as I do with my footy. And so that's a very, very good sign for me that I knew, well, that helped me make the leap and say, right, time to hang up the boots and move on to what's next.
Yeah, awesome.
But it's still hard nonetheless, because it is incredibly daunting to sort of start again.
Definitely.
From a career perspective.
Tell us about Alfred. So this is me purely assuming, but when I was reading one of the blogs and a few things, you were in the Brumbies. Was it called the Fat Academy legitimately, or is that? Yeah,
it's called Sumo Club now. They can't call it Fat Club anymore, but it's always Fat Club in here. To me and JP and Ruan, they'll tell you all about Fat Club. They're always there. They was always there right with me. It sucked. It sucked. But
So
yeah.
what was that, just coming back from coming to pre-season a bit overweight, or?
Yeah, and pre-season's hard enough as it is, but then they'd flog, the blokes who'd blown out over the break and really struggled to meet, body mass, fat levels, and come into every year. They'd always, you get flogged even more, or you'd have to go clean staff's cars or just come in on your days off. Just really, shit punishments. But I mean, and I had a problem with my weight my whole life, so it wasn't a shock to me that I was overweight. It wasn't like, oh, surprise, you're overweight. But yeah, no, glad I finally got out of that. And but yeah, it's just, it's weird. I guess the JP and Ruan, they'll be the same. But we were kind of lucky that I really struggled to control myself around food, and I could just eat all day. And I guess I was very lucky that I found a sport or a position in a sport where that was kind of helpful. Because in any other sport, there's no way I would have made it. So, yeah, being a front row in rugby union and being a heavy eater kind of was almost a perfect match. But even then, especially when we came back to Brums and Super Rugby, we had to be really fit. And, was always every year stuck in Fat Club.
It was coming back to Fat Club every year, like how was that for you? Did you just learn to accept it?
Wrecked your holidays. Wrecked your holidays because you knew, and you're like, I'm going to be in Fat Club, and like you didn't enjoy your holidays at all. And you're like, because you're already dreading pre-season, it's going to be really tough, and the training's going to be hard. But then you knew if you're in Fat Club, you're going to have even more. All the punishments on top of it. So there's that. I mean, they weren't really that humiliating. Like they didn't really bully us that. Like I wouldn't say bullying. We weren't bullied or anything like that. It was just like you're professional athletes. You got to do extra work. You're carrying too much mud. So, and that's the hard thing. Like I didn't want to be in Fat Club. I didn't want to be overweight, but I just really struggled controlling myself with my eating.
What was the struggles? Because I read as well, like one of your sort of, I don't know, I won't say catchphrase, but things you like to say is consistently mindful when eating is how you sort of talk about food, and I guess things that you're doing with Alfred now. Like, was there ever a time throughout your footy career where you got, you became aware of that and you did that, or did you just sort of blow out in the off season and then just work your way back into it pre-season and maintain through the season?
Yeah, that worked really hard. Like early on in my career, I'd come back in Fat Club and then I'd work, like even just 1 month off, I could blow out. I could put on 6 or 7 kilos pretty quickly. But then I'd work super hard and have to be really diligent with my eating. And I just sort of kept fluctuating. I could never just find that happy sort of balance where I could enjoy my food but keep things under control until I discovered MyFitnessPal and tracking my food. And that's just taught me a lot about my own habits. I mean, I was sort of totally unaware to how much energy I needed in a day, how much I was eating in a day, how much energy I needed on training days versus non-training days. And tracking just taught me all that. Oh, Benny, on training days, you're going to need nearly 4,000 calories. On days off, might only need 2,500. Like it was all totally new to me. But as soon as I started tracking out of Fat Club, and I've never had an issue with my weight since. I'm down 20 kilos since I retired.
Unreal.
So it's just I literally put it all down to tracking, and which when I think people get caught up in sort of they call it calorie counting, but it's really what you just said. When you're tracking what you eat, you are being mindful that you're eating, because we've got so much like stimulus and stuff coming at us, emails and notifications and work and family. It's really hard to just go, like even have any brain, mental bandwidth or brain power to go, okay, how much am I eating? Like we just forget about it. And I especially, I just be on autopilot. I just eat without thinking. And so I just, while I was playing, formed the habit of tracking. And one day I was like, this is awesome. Like I'm at a Fat Club. I can eat whatever. Like I have ice cream more now than when I was playing. Like, because I know when I can have it because I track, and it's just given me full freedom. Decided why don't I build my own, because I tried to get a lot of friends and family to use MyFitnessPal when they said, having issues with my weight. I'm like, just track. It's awesome. Like just use MyFitnessPal. But no one really, they'd all download it, but no one would get to sort of experience the same benefits that I had. I was like, they just sort of quit after a couple of days. So, after a few years sort of stewing on that, sort of thought, build my own one. So, and then that led us to build Alfred, and that was nearly 5 years ago now. So,
what are some of the things you, I guess, even with Alfred or with MyFitnessPal, because from what I've seen is like people just think it's too strict to track calories, like they might lose the spontaneity in life. But I think it's, from my perspective, it's with finances, with even your time, like what you track, you can measure and you can improve, and you can really be intentional with it. And that's one of the things I like you said, is like mindful or intentionality can lead to a better outcome. But do you even experience with Alfred, or when you were telling people on MyFitnessPal, they were just like, nah, that's too strict. Like, I want to live.
And that's like, I get, depends what you're trying to achieve with it. But like you said, so people that budget their money have got no financial freedom. Yep. They got way more financial freedom than people that don't budget. It's exactly the same. And I think people that just say that are just trying to get out of having to do it. Because it's given me full freedom to eat whatever I want. I've got no more stress about what I eat. I used to eat ice cream and I think, it's going to make me fat and it'll undo all my hard work. I've learned that's all total rubbish. It's something I'm going to do for the rest of my life, tracking my energy. So, couldn't recommend it higher. But with the strictness stuff, if you want to be like, have a 6-pack and you want to be like, fitness model, like I get, you're going to have to weigh your food, you're going to have to count your macros. But if Alfred's not designed to help people do that, Alfred's just designed to help people, average people, just lose a bit of weight very easily. And all you have to do is be mindful. You don't need to weigh your food. You just literally just have to take a photo of your food, or just I had 2 slices of toast and some eggs or whatever, and we'll estimate the energy for you. But I get why people think it is extreme, because only extreme bodybuilders are tracking their food at the moment. But I think anyone can get huge benefits from it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome to hear that. I think even for me, I've always been against tracking it to that extent, because I have that stigma around bodybuilders. I'm like, that just seems like the most insane way to live, where you have to weigh every bit of broccoli and stuff like that. But I think, as you mentioned, tying it in for everyday people who just want to, feel good and have their weight under control, it doesn't need to be super strict. And have you found from going through the process?
Well, it's like budgeting. Do you need to budget every single cent that you spend, or do you just sort of ballpark it around tens of dollars or about $100? Like, you don't need to get exactly right. That's sort of the thing I learned, because I was weighing my food, but then I sort of just started estimating, it's about a handful of broccoli or whatever, or a handful. I didn't it's 183 grams of sweet potato. I go, it's about a handful or whatever. And I still got great results. And that's what taught me. It was just the mindfulness is what leads to the weight loss, not the extreme accuracy.
And how would you recommend people start with it? Like, I guess from your own experience, did you nail it out of the, I guess, like a bull out of the gate? Did you just get straight into being consistent, or did you have a few hiccups along the way?
No, the first time I did it for a couple of days and I stopped. And then the second time, it was about 3 or 4 months later, I got back into it. I was like, I think I was feeling really fat or whatever. I think I'd had skin fold testing and I'd got up and I was like, I'm going to really get into this and track hard. And I did pretty full on for about 3 months, and then started to relax it, because as I was like, it is extreme if you're going to weigh your food and count all your macros. That is a bit extreme, but I gradually stopped doing all the extreme part and just estimated roughly, and sort of went along a near enough is good enough approach, and the results kept coming. So that's sort of how we've designed Alfred. We don't track macros. We don't encourage people to weigh their food. You just take a photo or send a little text and we do all the data entry for you. So we're kind of like, you get an accountant to do your taxes. We're your accountant for your energy. So we'll do all the tracking for you. And that's sort of, the idea behind Alfred. But with people getting started, if they whether use Alfred or any other tracking app, the other thing is people think when they start using those apps, they got to all of a sudden they need 100% clean. I would the best thing I think is to just eat. If you're going to start tracking, track, but just eat as if you normally did. And I think that alone, people try and like rush making changes really hard, and people try and then rush it and go, right, I'm going to start eating super clean from now. And that may last a few days, but eventually you burn out and you just fall back into your old ways. And so what we encourage people with Alfred is just eat as if you normally do, but just track it. And then after a week, you'll have a bit of information and you'll go, oh, all right, I'm eating 500 or 300 calories too much per day. All right, I'll make one little change, just one little change to help get back under. So like for me, I think I took a long service leave when my twins were born. And I was like, I don't want to do any extra training, but I didn't want to come back in Fat Club. And I knew I needed to cut about 700 calories out of my diet. And because I've been tracking for a while, I knew I was having about 500 calories a day worth of milk in my coffees. So I was like, all right, well, I'll try and just have long blacks instead of, large flat whites. And that was a change I could stick to. And that was 500 calories out of my diet. And just from one little change, and I still drink long blacks to this day. I'm not saying
so simple.
It is, but it's not. But that's something I could stick to. Some people love having milk in their coffee, and so I wouldn't tell them to change it. But they should try and figure out what is one little change they could stick to. So I'm not big on sort of all this diet advice. I'm a big believer in people figuring out what works well for them, rather than trying to copy what other people do. We're all different. We're all unique. Got different tastes, budgets. Habits. I'm a big believer in people sort of becoming, just tracking and then figuring out what works best for them.
Yeah, definitely just taking ownership for things, because that's one thing we really encourage the blokes in our community to do with all of those things. There's so much, it's overwhelming actually how much advice from nutrition to how to make money to how to have a good relationship. It's just about figuring out, obviously you as an individual, you're unique, you have different wants, needs, desires and habits, etc. Start asking better questions, trying different things and taking what works well for you and pissing off what doesn't.
And like with nutrition advice, like I read an article saying eggs are awesome for you. And then the next day I read another nutrition article saying eggs are as bad as smoking. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's just there's nutrition is unbelievably complex and it's super, super important. Don't get me wrong, but I still listen to what the experts are saying and around food and diet, but I'm really I just track my own food and I just go, what food makes me feel good? And that's the number one sort of indicator for me is when I eat something, do I feel good? Does it give me energy or does it make me feel a bit shit? Rather than trying to I still listen to what the experts say, but I'm really about trying to figure it out for myself. And I understand that can take a bit of time, but I really think and really encourage everyone that it's an unbelievably worthwhile sort of exercise to go through.
Yeah, definitely time well spent. Obviously for yourself as well. So you got the app going and you're running the pub. And obviously a family man as well. How do you juggle it all? Like, do you find it's a bit of chaos or are you pretty good at managing your time?
My wife. So I was really lucky before Brums. There was a guy, Dean Benton. So he's head of he was a hurdler, and he was head of athletic. He's still head of athletic performance at Rugby Australia, and he was our performance coach at Brums. And I remember I was really struggling with training, and he's like, "Okay, Dean, I'm training really hard. Like I'm trying really hard." And he goes, "Benny, I don't care, mate. Just focus on your eating and your sleeping." And he added flexibility, but just eating and your sleeping and your training will take care of itself. So my wife and I don't really and that's something we still do to this day. My wife and I, all we focus on is our eating and our sleeping, because we feel if we do that, we'll then have the energy to do all the other stuff, to deal with our kids, to make good decisions about our time, make good decisions about how we spend our money. All we do is focus on our energy and doing things that give us energy and make us, feel good. Because if I've got energy, I'm a patient dad. I do better work. I make better decisions. And I just see it all ties back to this concept of sort of having energy, which I think is that's what it means to be healthy. I think is to have lots of energy. And I know when I sort of get down on myself and life sort of starts getting a bit overwhelming, it's generally when my energy is really low. I feel really flat. I don't feel like I've got the energy to do everything, and everything starts to build up on top of me, and it becomes overwhelming. But if I just, like Dean always told us, so my wife, we literally just focus on our eating and our sleeping and getting an exercise, and we seem to be managing so far, but it can all fall apart pretty quickly.
That's sound advice. I fucking love it. Just keep it simple. Like focus on what you can control and work on the rest taking care of itself. But I think, definitely looking at your diet, which is obviously why you're so passionate about what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing, but also focusing on that control, because you're definitely right. The way you feel as a result of sleep and as a result of what you're putting in your body, has a direct correlation to how you show up in your relationships and at work and every other area. So if you've got, for those listening, got challenges going on in other areas, maybe come back to the basics of what you're fueling your body with and how you sleep.
Yeah. And like you hear sort of the advice, you got to exercise, you got to sleep, and you got to eat well. But I don't think it could be explained like the why behind doing all that a lot better. And that Dean, it really resonated with me what Dean, the trainer, told me. It was so I would have energy to train well. So I would used to just focus on, I had to train really hard and just put all my effort into training hard. And then I would forget about my eating and my sleeping. But he goes, no, focus on that stuff. And then you'll have heaps of energy and you'll train really well as a result. And we went from second last the year before in 2011 then in 2013 we nearly won the grand final in New Zealand. We just got beat by the Chiefs over in NZ, and I put it all purely down to that. Like every day people were coming into training well rested, well fed, and we just trained well as a result. And we did that week after week, and results on the field then just take care of itself. But it is hard. Work's causing you stress or family's causing you stress. Our brains will gravitate towards those things, and they become our focus, and we forget about our eating and our sleeping. But I truly believe the best way to deal with the stress of work and family is to have energy to deal with them. And the way to have energy to deal with them is to get a good night's sleep, to eat well, do some exercise. And that's what we talk about Alfred. Like, for the first 2 years working on Alfred, I thought it was about weight loss, but I finally realised that, you talk to anyone that loses weight, the number one thing they always say is, I've got so much more energy. It's like, I feel great. I've got all this energy. So now Alfred is about, empowering people with the energy to do what they love. So it's not about losing weight. We say Alfred's not a weight loss app. It's a have more energy app. And so it's, everyone's just, you got to lose weight, and we sort of hear, got to lose weight to be healthy. But I really don't think that's a really good enough motivator. But I think having energy to do whatever it is you want to do with your life, I think that, it makes it a lot easier. It just makes sense a lot more about why we should lose weight and get in shape and be healthy, is that, when you're fit and healthy, you just got a lot more energy to do stuff. You feel great, and and that's speaking as someone who didn't feel great all the time. And when I had low energy and was tired, I just noticed my thought patterns and the way I saw myself in the mirror certainly changed, and I wasn't as proud of myself. But when I've had a good night's sleep and exercise and eat well, I just noticed my brain's far more optimistic and positive.
It's awesome. That's so just for me, it's just obviously it's easier said than done for a lot of that because life gets in the way, but it's such simple advice that doesn't make you feel, I don't feel overwhelmed. Listen to it. So for those who would want to check out the app or get involved with everything that you guys do, what's the process in that? Do they just jump on the app store or jump on a website, or how do they get involved?
Yep, so alfredapp.com.au, just the website. We've only got Apple version at the moment. We'll build the Android version next year, but total it's free for another month, and then we're going to start charging $4.99 per month. Cancel any time, so subscription, but still free for another month. But just download it and start sending through your meals, and we Yeah, so it's either myself or nutrition students from the University of Canberra will estimate the calories in your meal, and we sort of give you a daily goal that a lot of the other apps allow you to set the rate at which you want to lose weight. We don't. It's set to a sustainable rate. We are not about losing weight quickly and having a six-pack. We're about losing weight sustainably. So we'll give you a goal to hit each day, and you'll be able to enjoy your food, eat normally, and we'll help you hit your goals. But yeah, just download the app, start using it, and love to hear feedback from everyone because there's still a lot of improving to do.
And for everyone who's not on Apple, maybe it's time to get an iPhone. Nah, keeps that's the same as my app as well because it's not on Android yet as well. So I just keep saying that to the lads.
I just have iPhones, so because I built this for me, like Alfred for me, predominantly my dad, so I have iPhone. So it's nothing against Android, but we'll build that next year.
And for those who want to read the blog as well, do you just go to your Instagram and click on the link there? Or is there a web page for that, or how?
Yeah, it's benalexander.substack.com, but you can just go to my Instagram or Twitter and there's a link there. But and thanks for the comment pre-notes about pre-show about the blog, because that, like, Alfred's been a really long journey. Like, I've been going for 5 years, but we only got it in the App Store about 8 months ago, and we had 3 versions, like capitulate, and we couldn't fix bugs, and we had to start again. So this is my 4th attempt to try and get Alfred working how we wanted it to work. And I sort of, during when COVID hit last year, I sort of had an epiphany. The reason why we fucked up so many times, and it was because of my communicating, and that the blogging has been an attempt to try and get better at communicating, because I thought I was a good communicator, but I might not have been as good as I thought. And I think that's a big reason why it's taken me so long to get Alfred out there and on the right track. So no, if people enjoying the blog, really appreciate it.
That's awesome ownership there to I guess, we all think we're good at things, but maybe we can improve on them, and to find a way to do that rather than just going, it'll figure itself out. So to go to blogging, and that's why I started podcasting, because I was a terrible communicator and swore a heap. Still swear a fair bit, but working on it. So yeah, awesome to hear. So guys, for everyone tuning in, I'll have all the links to Alfred and the blog attached in the show notes, so you can just click on that and get stuck into it, or even reach out to Benny. But mate, I truly appreciate your time and jumping on, and it's awesome to hear what you're doing, just really simplifying the overwhelm out there around nutrition for people, because obviously body image, we're in a time in our lives where people are so unhealthy, which is unfortunate. So whatever everyone's doing to help improve people's quality of life and give them back energy, because whether you're a dad, a son, or an athlete, like, it's the most important thing, as you sort of touched on.
And so the blokes that have been doing the best with Alfred, of my friends that have been loving it the most, have all been dads. It's been really weird. Mostly been dads, a couple are, but yeah, it's hard work, man. You got kids, you got work, you just got so much coming at you. And the moment, and I feel a bit selfish to say it, but I put my health above my children. Like, of course, if I had to give them my kidney to save their life, of course I would. Or if they, a car was coming, I'd jump in front of the car and, to try and save their life. But that's probably never going to happen. So on the average day, my health is my top priority. And then it's my wife, and then my children, because we feel, my wife and I've thought, it feels a bit selfish to say it, but if we're really healthy and feeling good, we're going to be the best parents we can be. And if I'm tired and cranky, I take shortcuts with disciplining, or with, if I'm too tired, I won't play with them. I'll sit them down in front of the telly, or just give them whatever for food. So we just sort of had to learn the hard way that, we had to kind of be a bit selfish and make our health, prioritize our health and ourselves ahead of our children. And to do that for our children, I think that, I guess that's why I justify it to myself. But it did feel a bit selfish at first to think that way. But I think everyone wins when my wife and I both fit and healthy. I think the whole family wins.
I couldn't agree more with that way of viewing things. Final question, mate. What's your definition of being a man?
Yeah, I was saying before, I got three daughters, so I haven't thought about this. But like you said, I do think about the type of guys that that they're going to date, and I mean, I don't want my daughters to need I want them to want to be with a bloke, not need a bloke. So I want them to be confident, and I think it's the same if I had a son. I think, yeah, I just want them to be confident and happy doing what they love doing. And I think, the line gets a bit blurred between confidence and arrogance a bit. And so I definitely want them to be confident. What does it mean to be a bloke? I don't know. It's really changing, isn't it? Like how blokes fit into society and the way the world, a man's role. Like 100 years ago, we'd go to war or we would go hunt to get food for our tribe. And now it's sort of like, don't really need to do any of that. So it's like, well, how do we fit in? I don't know. I don't know.
I love putting people on the spot with it just because I think, we've been fed this stereotype of what it means to be a bloke. And for some people, they align with it. And then there's people who just feel like they can never quite, it doesn't align with them. So it's always awesome to hear just random perspectives of blokes of what it means to them, because I feel there's always someone out there who goes, fuck yeah, what Benny said resonates with me. And some people think what I say is like, nah, they probably don't listen to the show anymore. But
yeah, I get one maybe a role we have is to try and push society forward, and help with progress. It's not to say women can't do that, but I think especially my wife's relationship, she does spend more time with the kids. So I guess I see my role not as a provider, but just to try and, I don't know, make the world a better place, really. I mean, but that's a woman's role as well. So I don't know actually specifically. It's not to go around bashing people. That's certainly not
not the way to do it.
Not like Keithy George or something like that. But I don't know, mate. You put me on the spot there.
No, all good, mate. We'll go with to make the world a better place is a good way of looking at it. But Benny, once again, mate, I truly appreciate your time. And once again, for everyone, just check out the show notes for the links so you can get involved. And if you're looking forward to dropping, or just not even dropping weight, just getting your energy back, go check out Alfred.
And thanks for the intro, Tommy, as well. See Tommy Wednesday down. Hope he doesn't stack and crack his new watch.
I actually was meant to say that a moment ago, then I went off on a tangent about question. But yeah, Tommy, once again, thanks, mate. And thanks again, Benny. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.